Without further ado, let's welcome Glen to kickstart our first panel discussion for today. Glen, please.
Thank you, Sichuan. Very good morning to one and all. Just want to say that I'm really very privileged to be able to facilitate this panel of very esteemed practitioners in the industry, primarily two. Firstly, they're in the food manufacturing space, and I'll introduce them to you one by one subsequently, as well as the precision engineering industry. So firstly, Widodo is the general manager of PT Indolakto. PT Indolakto is a subsidiary of the very huge Indo group, and we may all know them through the brand called the Indomie Goreng. Very famous. I mean, when I was a young boy, that was my favorite. So that's Widodo for you. He's the general manager of PT Indolakto Indonesia. Yeah, welcome, Widodo. Next on the list. Yeah, next on the list, we have Gary Gunn. Gary is the managing director of Hexa Food Malaysia, and they are around since 1997, right? And they make what I call powdered herbs and spices and mixes, as well as seasonings. So that's Gary for you in that space in the food manufacturing environment. But you notice that between the two, one does what I call very tight and close B2C type engagements, and that's typically with the milk, powdered and liquid milks business, and then the other one through what I call distributors, and it's being shipped internationally. Important to take note of that because that sets the context of the business models, the challenges, and the way they conduct the business in this time and space, right? Next, I will move over to Wuttichai. Wuttichai is in the precision engineering space, and he's the general manager of ASI Precision Thailand. And as we all know, Thailand is the automotive hub for manufacturing in Southeast Asia, and so his clientele base, includes companies like Ford and a lot of the Japanese automotive giants like Toyota, Honda, and the like. Okay, so that's Wuttichai, general manager for ASI Precision. Nguyen Tam is the Chief Operating Officer of Fitek Vina. Now, he's also in the precision engineering space, specifically with forming of metal sheets, as well as, serving the electronics industry. His clientele base would include Samsung, LG, as well as some automotive clients like Honda. So welcome, gentlemen, to this panel. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm going to kick the session off with the first question for you. And my question for you is, do you see things changing for your business and your country after COVID is over? Or do you think things will stay the same? Widodo, maybe we'll start with you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Glen. So first of all, of course, there a huge changing after we have the growth of the technology, and the technology is growing very fast. Even they grow exponentially. So in the beginning, when the technology of the industry 4.0 was born, we just know that we implement the high standard of the automatic level and robotic. So we just know about this, and we, Indolakto, as part of the Indofood Group, and Indofood Group is the market leader for food and beverage product in Indonesia. We, as a company, we believe that digitalization will impact and bring a lot benefit to the business. So we start the journey of the transformation. And of course, we are facing a challenge in the economic aspect, in the organization, in the social, and also in the political. For example, when we talk about challenge in the economic, we are facing the high investment. And also we are facing unclear how to calculate the economic benefit. When we talk about the social, we're talking about distrust. We're talking about the how to settle the reluctance of change. In the organization, we also how about the security, how to protect the know-how, how about the employee qualification. So we have to settle and we have to learn how to handle this challenge. And Pak Glen and all the participants, now with the development of the Industry 4.0, we see a quite clear standard. And we see also a lot of solution about Industry 4.0. So we know about the IoT, data-driven integrity, CPS, and we as a manufacturer, we have to be clear with what we want. So we have to really sure, 100% sure, and how we have to focus on. What is the problem? We have to solve it. And what does it mean about the digitalization, connectivity, integrity, moving from lean to lean digital? And also, we have to define from us, what is the smart factory? So in our definition, when we talk about the smart factory, then we define as a CHOTPA. So this is very easy to understand from our learning. CHOTPA is a connected, optimized, transparent, proactive, and agile. So this is how we define with the growing of the organization in the disruption era. So
Okay, thanks a lot.
yes, let me continue a few slides. So then we are also facing a challenge in the transformation during COVID, but there are positive and negative, and we try to focus on the positive, and we encourage to the transformation. And finally, we able to continue. The show must go on during this transition. So, Glen,
much appreciated. Jerry, my question for you on that theme around workings change is, could you speak a bit about your impact on your demand and your revenue during this period of time, and how you all have managed that, during COVID?
From our end, food products, we actually have extra demand during this period. So we needed to cope with extra demand while making the place safer. I think making the work environment safe is like a very huge challenge right now, especially when Malaysia cases is like starting to go into 3 into 4 digits.
Okay, and anything you felt that your company did in this short span of time to try to manage the increase in demand, as well as sounds like there might be some impact around trying to get workers to the factory. Any thoughts on that front as you manage this period? It's like increased demand, lesser opportunity to deliver. How did you work that through?
I think from our side, like technology and IoT and also cloud services, they play very important. So we try to have lesser people in the factory, but at the same time, we need to maintain the food safety and also the product quality. So the main challenge is there, but once we are able to solve it, then we didn't face much problem, to be honest.
Okay, no, that's good to know, because some actually have seen uptick in demand, some have got various challenges, but all of you have been maneuvering through that. Wuttichai, my question for you is, given the fact that the automotive business has got very high demands on quality because of the safety aspect, could you speak a bit about how that has translated into your company making use of technology in the light of not having enough workers to ensure quality control and things like that?
Okay. For my business, the AI application, normally the most important 4 things is the productivity, quality, delivery, and also demand. So, but on this, you asked about the quality of the hybridization. Yes, of course, this one we we adapt the innovation about the quality into our business. Example that to check 100% by using the technology. Example that using more sensor, more high precision sensor instead of the people. So this one will be ensure the product to our customer more than use uh, people to check.
Okay, thank you for that. Much appreciated. Tam, my question for you is, how do you all manage your cash flow, and how does technology play a role in that? In terms of many people are all cash strapped at this point in time. How has that affected your company, and how do you all maneuver around that? Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thanks, Glenn. That was a very interesting question. You know, like pre-COVID, we sometimes we lack the manpower because there's a lot of requests from the clients, and we have sometimes we think that okay, we have enough or even more than we can supply, so we did not pay attention to how to satisfy all the requests from the clients. But post COVID, we can see that half of all the contract was gone, and we have to find a way to both satisfy the request from the client, but also we have to maintain our resources, our human resource, our manpower, to fulfill the requirement from the clients. And we cannot be traveling overseas to meet the clients at the moment. So we have to find a way to meet them online, to understand what their needs. And also we because the policy in Vietnam is like only 50% of the manpower has to be on site, has to be in the factory. So we are lacking the human resources. So we have to find a way to, like, the middle managers to work efficiently from home, but also we have to maintain all our manufacturing activities, and that is one is our obstacles. And we have to find a way, take advantages of all the modern technologies, so that we can continuously manufacture and fulfill the requirements and the need from the client.
Okay, now my question for you specifically on that is, could you cite an example of what your company had implemented because of all these remote monitoring or remote engaging with your clients or your employees just in the last 6 months? Anything you would like to share specifically for the audience?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page with Wuttichai, as he mentioned earlier. We have to implement, we have to invest, of course. We have to invest and implement a new monitoring system based on CCTV and camera, and also applied a collection of sensor network in our factory. Because 50% of our workers has to stay home, and the rest can be working in the factory. So CCTV camera and a sensor networks has to be implemented on site at our factory, and also at the back office, because we have a back office to take care of the human resource management and so on and so forth. And so we have to find we take advantages of the software. We have subscribed to a very small CRM systems, so that we can still continue to look into our existing clients and take all the opportunities or even future opportunities to work with them.
Okay, thank you. Gary, I wanted to ask you this question around, there may be this thought that, you know what, in the food manufacturing industry, robotics application, right? How has that come to life in your industry, Gary?
We haven't implemented it, but then robotics, I think the first place that we'll implement it is definitely on the warehouse side. Definitely.
More to get, for the benefit of your audience, because the question is, hey, I've not started anything, and you know what, where do I start? Do I start, at the front end in production, or at the back end? And you mentioned in the warehouse. Could you bring that to life a little bit? Because you must have thought a lot about that, during this period as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard to implement robotics or cobots at our line right now, because food production, usually they run in the turnkey system. But then when it comes to warehousing, that's where you are dealing with a lot of very heavy cartons and a lot of bulk materials and all those. So this is where robotic arms, it will fits in very, very handy. So that I think it will be the material handling partner, be it from the raw material side, but it's most likely at the warehousing side, the finished goods.
Given your flour and all that, that's probably more processing type work with machinery, and then obviously once it gets into boxes and cartons and things like that, you can move it. Now, Wuttichai, your industry uses a lot of robotics. Could you bring some of that to life for us?
Yes. Normally, if we want to reduce the manpower, correct, of course, we have to invest the robotics. But for currently process in our factory right now, we still use too many of the manpower right now. But for I4.0 adoption, this one, let our factory think about how to. We have to separate into two topics. The first one, it is how to know the real situation in the factory. That means what is the problem right now? What is the example that the machine breakdown? We have to chart instant. We have to chart as soon as possible. This one, it is the first topic that we have to improve. And the second one, it is the transfer process or load in, load out of the product process. This one, we have to invest the robotic on our plant or our factory. So your question is many robotic or many automation system in our plant or not? For currently, not yet, but from situation of the economic, the manpower, and also the pandemic, these three topics or these three concerns is lead us to think about robotic investment too much. But the situation of economic and situation of pandemic, it caused to be delayed the investment also.
Okay, no, thank you for that. But Widodo, I want to ask you a question relating to data analytics and the use of data in decision making. Could you speak a bit about that? Because technology is not about hardware. How do you utilize your data, softwares, and the analytics piece of it? Would you speak a bit about that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Glen. So after the robotic, now we talk about the data driven. So our experience is how to improve the performance. We must focus on the data accuracy and how to analyze the data, and then how we extract what is the action inside the data. So what is our experience in our operation? Because we have two factory which already implement 4.0. Number one is the brownfield Pandaan factory, and then the second is the Purwosari factory, which is the fully automatic. We already have the automatic warehouse, auto robot, palletizer, and all the automatic. What I want to talk here is when we talk about the automation, it looks like it's enough. But now with the Industry 4.0, we step up with the data driven. So just an example, we optimize the cleaning activity. We facing the problem with the non-quality cost. We facing the problem with the contamination. So after we are doing the root cause analysis, and then finally we know that what is the problem. So we focus to dig the data and information, how to improve the quality. And finally, we focus to improve the data on the CIP system. You know, CIP is the cleaning in place. This is the prerequisite before we start the production. By learning the CIP, and we analyze the how looks like the temperature, turbulence, etc. Finally, we can optimize the CIP step, and also at the end we can reduce the non-quality cost. This is one of the example. Actually, still a lot of example when we able to analyze the data, when we able to extract what is the action insight, then we can optimize the operation. Like this, Glen.
Well, thanks a lot, Pak Widodo, much appreciated. Wuttichai, I wanted to ask you around, things such as preventive maintenance in your factory. How has that come to life with the use of technology to help you to do preventive maintenance? Any experience with that in your space?
Yes, actually, as I mentioned before, the question before about the two topics, innovative. The first one, it is about the manufacturing process program, and the second one, it is about the automation. For preventive maintenance, it is one section in the first topics. It is when we use the ERP system in our manufacturing. This one, will be the one section to include in our ERP system. It is about actually it is about the machine, not only the preventive, but include the predictive maintenance and also the breakdown maintenance also. So this one will be collect the data. We use the program to invest the new program to collect the data. What the machine performance, and what we need to do the machine before it break down. It will decrease the percentage of the breakdown in our factory too much on this, because we have the program to do the predictive and preventive maintenance. So this one is lead us to check the behavior of the machine before it will be breakdown or something. So this one, it is a benefit of our program on this.
Okay. No, thank you. Now, I've just opened this question to the floor because a lot of SME owners will think that the implementation of technology or the journey towards I4.0 is going to be a very costly and expensive one, and at the same time, it may impact their cash flow. Anyone want to comment on that thought or that hypothesis specifically? Is it true that it's very costly and it's going to impact my cash flow, or does anybody think otherwise?
I think for my principle personally is that technology is always expensive, but learning technology is free. So the more that you learn about a certain technology, be it like data, AI, automation, ERP, etc., then you will start to find that there are easy ways to do it. Yeah. Because there's always the expensive way, or the enterprise way, or there's always the SME ways. So yeah, so as you learn more and more, which doesn't cost you a single cent, then you will start to find your answer.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wanted to come in?
Yes, Pak Glen. Let me add what Pak Gary just mentioned. I take the example of the brownfield factory, Pandaan factory in our site. In the beginning, I mentioned that one of the challenge of the economic aspect is the high investment, and you just questioned it. So what is our comment for this high cost of the investment. Pandaan factory is small factory. This is the smallest factory. And then we already established what is the definition of the smart factory. We learn from the government training and all the information about what I mentioned to you, the CHOTPA, and then we translate what is connected, what is integration, what is transparent in the factory, and then we try to searching what is the high potential people on the shop floor. Then we are doing the upskilling, and then we are doing the shifting. So some production people, they shifting to the digital programmer, some mechanic with also upskilling to the electrical automation technician. And finally, we are focused on the really what is the pain point in the factory, which is quality, and which is the how to transparency of the data on site. We are doing the program by ourselves, and this is saving a lot some investment cost in the Pandaan factory. They transform from the manual to automatic and go to the digital using internal resources. So this, Pak Glen.
Okay, no, thank you so much for that. There is a question in the Q&A list. I'll pick one of them, and the question is, robotics will be used in the assembly line, especially in automotive and not in precision engineering, is the point, right? And the question to Pak Widodo again is, how will I 4.0 impact the pricing strategy of it?
Well, yes.
Go ahead. Yeah,
yes. So the question is using of the robotic in our assembly line, right?
That's right, because a lot of times people think that automotive, you have a lot of robotics, but in the food manufacturing, there's going to be much less of an opportunity. I know Gary mentioned a little bit about, making use of it in the warehouse space, right? And the question is, would that impact the pricing of your, I 4.0 implementation, because it's not widely used in the food manufacturing? I think that's
Yes. So when we are talking about the robotic in our site, in the Purwosari factory, what we implement the automatic warehouse system. So as we also already connected from the automatic warehouse using the SAP, and also connected to the automated guided vehicle. So we focus on the area where use a lot of material handling. Of course, we are implementing together with the expert how to optimize the packing line. So in the most area, we are implementing the robotic technology. And then how about in the processing area? Actually, in the automatic level in the processing area, because we are in the food manufacturing, so in the recipe management, in the quality parameter control, in the how to optimize the maintenance, we are as much as possible using the digital technology to be able to reduce the defect and improve the quality. And at the end, we also improve the productivity.
Thank you so much. All right, we have about 3 minutes to go. I'm going to ask you all more generic wrap-up questions. And I'll start with you, Tam. My question for you will be, what do you think is the role of the leadership in this whole I 4.0 transformation? How do you think the mindset of leadership plays a role or not?
Thanks, Glenn. That's a big question. I think this for me. I think I will start quite simple. Earlier in this session, I think in the introduction that Ted has just mentioned, that we should, as a leader in this I 4.0, we should follow 5 steps. And for me, I think because my company, my factory is quite small, so I'll take the first steps. I'm targeting at the first step first. That I will start small, try, as Gary just mentioned, I'll try to learn, and then start learning, observing from the bigger factory what they have done in this I4.0 transformation. I will let my own organization to transform ourselves first, and then we'll do some kind of pilot and soft launch with simple step first. And then we'll follow the agile methodology to go longer and bigger in future.
Okay, thank you, Tam. And Wuttichai, your question will be, what are your thoughts in terms of hiring that type of talent that's able to utilize technology, talent that's able to, do data analytics, because that's that space in I 4.0. Any thoughts on that, especially with, your industry and your country?
Yes, of course. Regarding the technology or the I 4.0, it is the new one for our country. So also the new story in our country, and also the it's like the new subject. So it is very hard to find the suitable people who understand well about the technology like this. So when we find the people who can do this, we have to find someone who have the experience before, either in our country or outside in our country.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
1 minute left. Gary, your question will be, what advice could you give people to build resilience for the future? 30 seconds.
Oh, this is tough. I think it's like what Steve Jobs says. Keep learning, keep being stupid. That's I mean the moment when you feel that you are stupid, then you start to learn, and as you learn more, then you just keep repeating the whole process.
Brilliant.
That's how life is.
That's humility. A lot of humility in that note. And Widodo, you're going to wrap us off with, if you want to have one learning from you for the whole audience and the SME population over here on the call, what is your one advice for them?
Okay, so there are key success factor based on our experience to implement the digital transformation. So I call it 3E. So engage and empowerment, and then partnership with the expert, and we have to build the ecosystem. This is the 3E that we have to understand and remember if we want to successfully and accelerate the transformation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. It was been a great pleasure.
Thanks,
and to Sichuan now Enterprise Singapore. Thank you.
Thank you.